Hi, I'm Betty Kimura, and if you like jazz as much as I do, well, there's just no reason that you too shouldn't take a trip to the birthplace of it all, New Orleans, or as the natives call it, Nolans. We took along some lightweight video equipment so we could bring you a taste of what that exciting city is all about. We were right smack in the center of the French Quarter, an area described as combining the earthy and the ethereal, the chic and the cheap, the old and the new. New Orleans is a class act, and the French Quarter is a great place to catch the first show. You can tour by walking, or you can ride a streetcar, a boat, a bus, or climb into a buggy. I asked this driver to describe his mode of transportation.
And welcome to New Orleans. And on behalf of Old Quarter Tours, I like to have folks come down here and ride our carriages. It's a 30-minute narrated tour of the French Quarter, and it's $7 a piece for adults and $4 for kids under 12. And it's a historical and architectural tour, as well as a sightseeing tour and a buggy ride.
We started off with a bang. The first night we planned to hear the Dukes of Dixieland, who perform at Mahogany Hall on Bourbon Street. Well, they were on tour, but filling in was a dynamite talent named Banu Gibson and her New Orleans Hot Jazz Orchestra. Glorious, notorious Bourbon Street has all-night excitement of jazz clubs, bawdy reviews, and all kinds of music fills the air. Just around the corner is Preservation Hall, famous for its senior citizens of the jazz world. We were very happy to meet Carl Koenig. Dr. K is a pianist and a jazz historian, He published a fascinating jazz map describing places where people like Buddy Bolden, the Boswell sisters, and Louis Armstrong lived and performed. He took us on a walking tour and brought us to the old U.S. Mint. Out front is that famous streetcar named Desire. Carl was very instrumental in setting up the jazz exhibit at the Mint, so I asked him to tell us about it.
This is called the Mint, if you can see in the background. It was a U.S. mint that coined money. It was also a prison, and now is the Louisiana State Museum. On the second floor of the building is the New Orleans Club Jazz Museum, the first jazz museum ever put together. It has been here since about a year in April, and it houses the collection. Louis' trumpet is there, a lot of the old instruments, and I would recommend that you take in the museum if you're in New Orleans, because it will give you a good background about jazz in New Orleans, the origins, the places that they played jazz, the people that played them. And it's a very historic building, and one that I think you should definitely put on your itinerary if you come to New Orleans. This is just the edge of the quarter. This is Esplanade Street that I'm facing here. That is the outer edge of the quarter. And to our right and further back is the area called the Treme area. In this area lived a lot of the Creole musicians and a lot of the social clubs like San Jacinto Hall, and a number of places where they gave dances and functions was in this area. More musicians lived in this Treme area than probably any area of the city of New Orleans.
The French Quarter is like an unending carnival. 2 blocks away at the French Market, we met people from all over the world who, like us, were supporting New Orleans' largest industry, tourism. Are you having a good time?
Oh yes, as far as you can say until now.
You just arrived yesterday?
Yes, that's it. We arrived by plane yesterday night.
And where are you staying?
We are staying in the French Quarter at Olivier House. It's an old hotel, 150-year-old house. It's very nice, it's beautiful.
But this place is very impressive.
Yes? You like the music?
Yeah, I like music.
What kind?
Well, yep, of course, the Dixieland jazz.
Yeah?
It's nice.
Fun.
It's fun. Yeah, I really love it.
People watchers can really have a ball here. Now there's nothing like a cruise along the Mississippi. The Natchez paddle wheeler beckons to tourists with the crazy sound of the calliope. Shh. Now hear this.
Right out here to our right, this big bend that we'll be going around. This is the deepest part of the Mississippi River, from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to St. Paul, Minnesota. Just out here to our right, the river is 200 feet deep.
Now this is what musicians call a great gig, as a couple of guys from the Riverboat Rambler Band can tell you.
We're on the Bayou Jean Lafitte. This is our bayou boat that runs with New Orleans Steamship Company. Runs up and down the river. Late at night we do the evening cruise for this, and sometimes there are parties on board, but generally it does a bayou cruise, runs back in the bayous for 4 hours in the afternoon, looking at alligators and all that good Louisiana stuff.
New Orleans has earned the reputation as the gastronomical capital of the country, and there's no argument there. The 2 most famous styles of cooking are Cajun and Creole, but often everything delicious just merges. Meals in New Orleans are meant to be lingered over, commented on, savored, and remembered, like this one will be for us at the old New Orleans Cookery on Conti Street. Here's Bruce, one of the waiters. He'll describe just a few of the savory selections, which may just make you salivate.
Starting from the top of the menu tonight, we have 3 appetizers. First, we have our red fish beignets, where we fillet the red fish, cut it into chunks, marinate it in Louisiana hot sauce. Then it's seasoned with the Cajun Magic, a blend of 4 peppers, red, white, cayenne, and black pepper, with a little thyme, bay leaves, and garlic salt. Then it's lightly egg washed, floured, then deep fried. served on a leaf of romaine lettuce with our garlic mayonnaise tonight.
And now I'd like to present to you the star of the show of the Old New Orleans Cookery here in New Orleans, and it's Chef Bob. Now, there are several things that I'd like to know how to prepare, but one in particular, my choice would be the sautéed trout with pecans.
Good.
Oh, good.
Very good one. This is a unique one because it's a style that's indigenous to New Orleans. The Meunière sauce itself is an unusual Meunière sauce. It's not your classical European type brought over by the French. It's influenced only by the Creole or the Cajun cuisine around here. It's not the browned butter sauce. This particular type of Meunière sauce is made up of a creamy butter. The sauce is never broken like the classic. And
What does it consist of?
It's mainly consists of a Lyon Perrin sauce, which is used in a lot of sauces in this area, and just loads of butter.
I can't say enough about the meal we just ate. I've been saving myself all week for seafood gumbo, just sort of knowing that with the reputation this restaurant had, this would be the place to try it, and it was excellent. My entree was superb. I had a seafood stuffed pork chop, absolutely delicious. We all tried something different off the menu, and I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we all, absolutely nothing wrong could be said about our meals. We all enjoyed what we ate immensely.
A stroll around the French Quarter is never dull, and it also helps to burn up some of those calories. This statue of Andrew Jackson, hero of the Battle of New Orleans, is the focal point at Jackson Square. Often there's music here, as well as across the street on the roof of the Jackson Brewery. The old brewery has been converted to a sophisticated conglomeration of boutique shops and restaurants. Now, here's a novel idea. Joe Kahn runs the New Orleans School of Cooking right inside the Jackson Brewery. A few people from our group signed up for a class. Now here's where you can have your jambalaya lesson and eat it too. We toured over 6 miles for only 60 cents when we took the streetcar from Canal Street in the business area to the Garden District and uptown New Orleans with several interesting stops along the way. Audubon Park is a 400-acre park named for James Audubon, who did some of his best work in Louisiana. Here's the newly renovated Audubon Zoo. What a beautiful campus Tulane University has, and is located right next to Loyola University. Another 60 cents brought us back to the French Quarter, where we faced more decisions, like whether to dine at the internationally renowned Antoine's, or to save our appetites for the award-winning breakfast at Brennan's. And of course, there are always eateries for all kinds of budgets. Well, here at Tujague's, we found a fine established restaurant with friendly service and very justifiable prices. Stephen Latter, the owner, can fill you in with some of the details.
Tujague's was established in 1856 by the Tujague family, who came from Mazarolas, France, and originally opened the restaurant to serve the hearty appetites of the butchers and merchants in the French market across the street. Tujague's originally served a 9-course meal, and we do basically the same thing the Tujague's did then today, except that it's a 6-course meal, which is more in line with the appetites today. Tujague's normal menus begins with shrimp remoulade, which is a tradition. We then serve a soup du jour, which could be a crab and corn, crab and spinach, gumbo, artichoke soup. We then serve the traditional brisket of beef with the Creole horseradish sauce. This is what Tujague's is famous for. We do seafood such as soft-shell crab, barbecued shrimp. We do chicken clemenceau. We do a chicken bonfile, which we'll be serving you all tonight. And then we serve a dessert, which is either bread pudding or pecan pie, and coffee in a glass, which is, again, a Tujague tradition that was brought from Europe by the Tujagues.
You can have after-dinner drinks on the second-story balcony while checking out the action at the French market across the street. Our wine expert, who's also the treasurer of the New Jersey Jazz Society, Dee Bess, Get some good jazz tips from an authority, Rhodes Speedell.
I know you've written a book.
Right, it's a guide to jazz in New Orleans.
Well, then I'm
Simple
asking
title.
the right person, am I not?
Yeah.
Well, good.
Okay, Dee, I think you'll find, as you found already, that New Orleans isn't just a Dixieland town.
No.
There's all kinds of music here. If you're looking for traditional jazz, there's, of course, Preservation Hall, Mahogany Hall, where I think you went and saw Banu.
Right.
The Dukes of Dixieland call that home normally. They're on the road right now. Talk to them. They're up in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Are they?
Cold up in there, 0 degrees. And in fact, I said hello to Duke Barker for Betty, as a matter of fact, she'd come and play down here with him. Snug Harbor does more modern jazz. Tyler's up on Uptown does more modern jazz. On Bourbon Street, there's also Maison Bourbon that does modern jazz. Up on top of the Mont Leon, what used to be Duke's Place is now called the Duchess Room. And on Monday nights, there's Ronnie Cole's group there. He's a fine pianist. It's a Dixieland aggregation, and there's Dixieland jazz there on Sunday nights. And there's all kind of music all over New Orleans. And if you want, and Storyville Jazz Hall has some fine blues sung at midnights by Luther Kent and a band that's very much like the old Blood, Sweat, and Tears band. There's Dixieland during the day there with Chris Burke's band, and on Sundays, Rhythm and Blues. So there's jazz all around here. You'll find it in Jackson Square. You'll find it on the streets. You'll find it all over.
Our common bond was jazz, but we all had time to pursue individual interests. Here's a few.
High on a mountain, tell me what to see. There tracks, the back of me. Better grab your run for before it's too late. 'Cause there's John Louis and more than me. We're around the middle and he's run across from 200 miles an hour, taking 30 feet down. Never leave Cartier, never leave street. Some people say
In an area that boasts of a history of voodoo witches, mysterious rites, it just seemed right to have a tarot card reading.
In your busiest time, there is one other hectic thing that you must face, and that is that an unwanted love that comes your direction. When you are busy, oh, how flattering for someone to say, hey, you look nice, aren't you attractive? And go on. Pretty soon you're going to hear, hey, wait a minute, what are they after? I'm no schoolgirl.
For sports fans, a tour of the Superdome is an absolute must.
Now, the scoreboards aren't computerized. They measure 8 by 88 feet. They're used to give scores. They relay messages. When the games get boring, they can even show animated cartoons.
I just wanted to share some of the excitements of New Orleans with you, so I've asked Beverly Gianna, who is the Public Relations Director for the Greater New Orleans Tourist and Convention Commission Incorporated. It's hard to memorize that and say it fast. And she's going to tell you why you'll have a terrific time coming to New Orleans also. I've asked Beverly to speak to you about it for 2 reasons. First of all, she's extremely knowledgeable on the subject. And second of all, you're going to love her accent. I do.
Thank you, you're so sweet. And that is a long name to read. When you come to New Orleans, most people want to come here for food. And let me tell you, if you're on a diet, forget it. Come here expecting to gain some weight, because we have 2,500 restaurants in New Orleans and within a 50-mile radius. Most of them offer any budget, any type of food, any type of dress you want to wear to the restaurant, and we have some of the best food anywhere. We have bars, by the way, that are open. Most of them have never closed. Bars, about 1,200 in the French Quarter alone, and most of them stay open 7 days a week. In New Orleans, you know, if you have a mind, you can have your drink on a street. If you're at a bar and you have to dash to a meeting, don't leave it behind or don't gulp it down. Just say, hey, Joe, give me one to go, and they'll put it in a to-go cup for you. So that's just one of the relaxed manners we have about eating and drinking in New Orleans. You know, you come here and it's an old city and you can enjoy the living history. You can take a streetcar ride, a Mississippi River paddle wheel boat, but you also look around you with the tall buildings, and we're a real New Orleans with the best of its living history. Go back to the historic homes, buildings that have been standing since the late 1700s, and also shop at some of the city's poshest shopping centers. We've got it all, the best of the old and new. Come on down.